A long time ago in a land far, far away, or maybe just down the road from where you live, there was a towering wall. It divided a city right down the middle and was made out of very tough clay. To make matters worse, this wasn't the kind of wall that you could just hop over. No, sir. This wall was covered with an ugly, coarse texture that made it impossible to scale. They would stare longingly at the colorful buildings and the happy people and wonder, why can't I be over there? What's so great about the West? And sometimes, just sometimes, the people on the western side would do the same, never getting to see what was on the other side of the wall, only wondering about it every once in a while. But maybe that wasn't such a bad thing. Maybe it was good to have a little bit of everything. A little bit of color. They went to their bright yellow schools and their red, green, and blue playgrounds and their purple movie theaters. They drove their shiny silver cars and zoomed up and down the streets on their orange bikes. And a little bit of gray, a little bit of fun, and a little bit of work, a little bit of everything. They worked in their gray factories and rode their clunky bikes to their gray schools. They stared out the window of their gray buildings and dreamed of a world that was a little less gray. You know, it's good to have a little bit of everything, just not too much of one thing. They would look over at the gray buildings and the people stuck inside and feel a twinge of sympathy for them. Why are they so sad? What's wrong with the East? On one side of the wall lived the people of the East, stuck in buildings made of drab, dirty, gray clay. Even if you made it all the way to the top, you still wouldn't be able to get over. There was always that coarse texture, that ugly, hard-to-climb surface that kept everyone trapped on their side of the wall. Everything about their world seemed dull and lifeless, like a TV playing in black and white. The buildings were boxy and severe, with no room for charm or character. They looked like giant Lego blocks stacked up against the sky. There wasn't even any grass or trees to soften the edges, just a sea of hard, unforgiving clay as far as the eye could see. And then on the other side, over on the western side, things were a little different. The buildings here were all wanky angles and bright, cheerful colors. They had cute little cafes with awnings out front and tiny shops full of wonderful things. The people on this side of the wall seemed much happier. They were free to do pretty much whatever they wanted. They had fluffy dogs and fast cars and even a giant Ferris wheel that reached all the way to the sky. Now, every once in a while, a curious person from the East would sneak over to the wall and peer through the gaps in the coarse texture. But nobody could ever get through to the other side, because the wall was too high and too tough, and so the people lived. The people on the eastern side stuck in their gray, boring buildings. The people on the western side living their colorful lives. The sky above was a strange mix of cool and warm colors, light and dark clouds swirling together as if the heavens themselves were divided too. So the people on the western side continued to enjoy their bouncy, colorful lives. Meanwhile, the people on the eastern side carried on as best they could, and all the while the wall stood tall and proud, dividing the city in two, keeping everyone on their side, hiding all the color and keeping all the gray. If you liked this story, you can check out more stories like this in my channel.